Hello and welcome to the Street Crime UK YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Today we look at a woman who tried to burn down a friend's flat after she falsely accused her of stealing her boyfriend and has been jailed for 21 months. Hannah Ridgley, 30, told her neighbour Margaret Russell she was going to fucking stab her, adding, "I am going to burn your flat and I am going to burn everyone else." Miss Russell, who lived on the floor below Miss Ridgley in Radcliffe, Greater Manchester, tried to calm her but was told, "I'm going to stab every girl who took my boyfriend, including you." Shortly afterwards, while the victim was out, Miss Ridgley set fire to the flat and caused £1,000 worth of damage, including damage to the sofa, carpet and curtain which had partly melted. The fire service and police were called and no one living in the 3-storey block of flats in Radcliffe, Greater Manchester was injured. In a statement, Miss Russell told police, "I feel numb. I am not perfect, but I have done nothing to deserve this. I have helped Hannah a few times in the past when she had trouble, and this is how she treats me. I feel angry and frustrated, but I am not sure exactly how I feel about it. I have not felt safe in my own home and have been staying with my mother, which I should not have to do. I stayed with her for 2 weeks and slept on the sofa as there was no room for another resident. I have not lived with my mother for a very, very long time." At Minshull Street Crown Court in Manchester, Miss Ridgley of Prestwich, Bury, admitted arson. Prosecutor Rachel Whitcomb said, "Margaret Russell lived in the same 3-storey block of flats as the defendant. The victim lived up on the top floor and the perpetrator on the floor below. Before this incident, they got on well. The victim helped her when she fell out with her partner and they had occasionally had drinks together. On May the 4th this year, the victim was in her flat getting ready to visit her mother when she heard a loud bang at the front door. Miss Russell opened the door and the defendant barged into her flat carrying a blue carrier bag with leaves in it. The defendant appeared to have taken something and was slurring her words with her eyes rolling. Miss Ridgley started staggering about as she shouted that she was pulling leaves from the bushes. The defendant offered her victim a cigarette, which was refused, and said she didn't want the defendant in her flat. The defendant shouted, "What are you shaking for?" and then exploded. Miss Ridgley shouted, "I'm going to stab every girl that took my boyfriend, especially you." She carried on shouting, saying she was going to stab her victim and everyone else. She continued by shouting, "I am going to fucking stab you, I'm going to burn your flat, and I am going to burn everyone else." At the time, the victim didn't think much of the threats and asked the defendant if she needed help, but was told, "Fuck off, I want to be on my own." Miss Russell bolted her door and finished getting ready. She left after 10 minutes and went downstairs where she heard more banging. She thought it would be Miss Ridgley and looked outside. Miss Russell continued walking as Miss Ridgley kept on shouting that she was going to burn her. Another resident saw Miss Ridgley and said she appeared drunk. She told the resident she did not get into the flat and was locked out. He heard the defendant shout, "I will burn the place down. Maggie is not a friend of mine." A fire alarm then sounded and the fire service and police were called. The victim had been gone for about half an hour and heard the fire alarm when she got to the front door. The defendant was coming out of the flat with another resident, an elderly woman shouting, "Fire! Fire!" She then went upstairs and found it was her flat that was on fire. Police arrived and concluded after an investigation which found it had not been an accidental fire. The corner of the lounge between the sofa, window and kitchen was damaged, as was the carpet and side of the sofa. Part of the curtain had melted and material had fallen to the floor. No ignitable fluid was found, but the fire was started deliberately by a naked flame being used on a combustible material. It is estimated the damage will cost around £1,000 to replace. Miss Ridgley gave no comment in the police interview. Her lawyer, Gwen Henshaw, said she intended only to cause drama, not hurt, and was shocked the fire escalated so quickly. Miss Ridgley recognises that this was a mean and potentially very, very dangerous offence. Sentencing judge Tina Landale told Miss Ridgley, "Your behaviour put many people at risk. You had a friendship with your victim, which you abused when you drunkenly set fire to her flat. Thankfully no one was injured, but that was not due to you but the prompt attendance of the fire service and police. I accept you had a difficult upbringing and have mental health problems, but you pose a high risk of serious harm to the general public. I am sure only an intermediate custodial sentence can be justified because of the risk you pose, which is high. You cannot be managed in the community because even now you are still drinking excessively, despite what happened at the flat when you set fire to it." So what are your thoughts about the defendant Miss Ridgley and how she used accusations against Miss Russell over stealing her boyfriend? yet to go on a rampage and subsequently burn down Miss Russell's flat? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, stay safe.